What's up, Ham Fam? Welcome back to another episode of Hard as a Mother. And we just want to let you guys know that we are now on Buy Me a Coffee. So if you guys like our content and would like to support your girls, click the link below or in our episode notes and buy us a coffee. And it'll help us with our production costs so we can continue giving you guys the stuff that you want to see. So today's episode is also brought to you by Big Picture Events, where they take charge of capturing the moment you want to remember, giving you and your guests a fun and futuristic way to make time stand still through professional photography, videography, and advanced photo booth solutions. So if you guys have an upcoming event, once our government decides to let us out of our cages, be sure to check out Big Picture Events on Instagram. It's at Big Picture Events. Or check out their website at www.bigpictureeventrentals.com. So for those of you guys who are just tuning in, I am Jizzy. This is Har. Hey, Har.
Hello, everybody.
And we are just two moms on a mission to create a safe space for moms, dads, and anyone really to share in the realness and the honesty of parenting. Because let's face it, it's fucking hard sometimes. And yeah, we got to be able to laugh at ourselves. So yeah.
Well, what's up, Ham Fam? It's good to be back. And thank you again, Jizzy, for the lovely introduction.
Oh, you are welcome.
So before we take a deep dive into our topic or discussion for tonight, we want to thank our Ham Fam. We did a poll asking our Ham Fam how they like to consume our content and who they want to see as a future guest. So we hear you. Stay tuned. It's gonna get spicy, as if it isn't already spicy. But leave us a comment, like or share our post, or if you know someone who is struggling or just needs a good laugh, definitely send them our way. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and we are now officially TikTokers.
TikTok! Yo, I'm getting pretty good at it. Even though I'm like less productive in the day now because fucking TikTok's a rabbit hole.
I don't know how to use it, so you might not see me there a whole
you
lot,
gonna learn.
But
you gonna learn.
There's some funny shit on there. So without further ado, today's guest is a native Calgarian. There's not very many of us these days. A mother of two. She's has an incredible partner named Matt. This mama has a diverse background in finance for over a decade. Then she went on earning her certification from the Institute of Pediatric Sleep and Parenting, where she hopes to spread this knowledge and help as many babies and families as she can. We want to welcome Jane Anderson.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
Jane.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to be here.
So I was just telling Giselle how I was like, because I was talking to you over Instagram
Yeah.
and we were just kind of shooting the shit. And I was like, I'm going to introduce Jane because you said you didn't have a lot of cousins. And you're like, well, we're cousins now. That's what I said. And I was like, I'm going to introduce her as our cousin.
Our honorary cousin.
Yeah.
I love it. I'll take it.
And then she went on like, are we allowed to be like, say, like, we obviously joke about certain like thing, like, you know how we have like, you know how we're like, can we say she's like our white cousin?
Oh, I'm a token white cousin, 100%.
Well, the thing is, it's such a touchy subject.
Yeah,
sometimes.
but she's the white girl here who's allowing us to say our white cousin. So
I was like, do you think she's going to care if we were to say that? But anyways, now you are. So here, welcome
yes, thank you so
honorary
much.
cousin Jane Anderson.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it takes a lot to offend me. I think you'll realize that. And yeah, I only have one cousin, so I'm super jealous that you guys, I know, you guys have such a big family. And
huge.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah,
are you sure you want to be a part of this family?
No.
Fucking crazy.
I don't know if you know what you're getting yourself into, but
You guys don't know me yet either, so we'll see how it goes. It goes both ways.
Here we go.
I like it. So, Jane, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be with us. We know you're super busy. Time is valuable, but this past week, our government just announced that we're actually lifting a little bit of the restrictions, which is amazing. When I heard, I was just like, oh my God, finally.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get. Any sort of freedom is a breath of fresh air at this point, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, for me, it never really gave me anxiety, like this whole pandemic, ever since it started until January 21st, when they're like, we're going to, ease up on the restrictions. And then they didn't. And I was like, fuck. And then I just went into this spiral and I was like, how did that make you feel when they told you that?
It's just getting to be a lot, I think. I obviously like last spring, I don't think any of us first saw it going this
Yeah,
far or
yeah.
this long. I just take it day by day. It's really all you can do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just funny because when we all started working from home, it didn't. Nothing really changed for me because I do work from home. But like Giselle was saying, is when they announced it and she sent it to me, I literally lost. I feel like every day I'm like losing my shit more and more, and I'm always telling her, I was like, I'm snapping at everybody at home.
sure.
I'm just in a cranky ass mood all the time. Like I just don't know what to do with myself. There's
Yeah.
only so much walks and going out, being by yourself. It's like I need a hug. I need a hug. That's what I
Hug
fucking
people.
need. You know, So it's hard, definitely, for a lot of people, mentally, especially for stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
When they're home all day and sometimes they just want to step foot and like socialize and they can't.
Yeah, it was interesting for me because I was however many months, I guess about 5 months into maternity leave. So I had all these plans what summer was going to be like down at the cabin in Montana. My sister lives down there. I had all these plans on family time and whatnot with my girls and my new baby and everything. And of course that all kind of went out the window. But then I just tried to make the best of it because it's really all you can do. And I think so many times, and I still have these moments where it's like, fuck, I have no control over my future. It feels like, like who knows what's going to happen next month or next week or tomorrow for that matter. And we really have no idea how long this is going to go on for. So I just try to focus on what I do have control over.
Yeah.
And then that's all you can really do.
Yeah, for sure. And then when they finally said like, oh, we're going to open restaurants, I was like, thank fucking God. Like
It's just some sort of normalcy.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's okay that like you can still go with your household. That's fine by me. I'll take it. It's just I'm tired of eating restaurant food out of a soggy container.
it's
like
not
it's
the
not the same.
Like you just want a different atmosphere. So I was actually having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and I just want to remind people that whatever your opinion is, and whether it's a strong opinion or whatever, some people might not agree, but at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to alienate the people in your bubble or in your circle of like what your opinion is if they don't understand or don't get it? If they don't, move on, go forward, because it's tough to like put a strain into relationships that you're not seeing these people because you're going on a tangent.
Yeah.
So we go back to saying be kind to one another.
It's such a good point because there's been a lot of people in my life that the true colors kind of have come out into fruition where you realize like, oh, they're anti-maskers or, just sort of
They're
very
racist. No, I'm just
strong.
kidding.
Yeah, well, that's been a whole thing too. It's true.
Everything that came,
The
everything
world
came
has
out.
just been like imploding on itself.
It has
and
never been so divided than it
Exactly.
has been. It sucks.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah. So Jane, you have such a diverse background, finance, and then to sleep consultant. Tell
it's
us.
so bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. Mom's stuff does something to you. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Tell us more about yourself and what made you switch gears and become a full-fledged sleep consultant.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's interesting is that I never wanted to be in finance. I just sort of fell into it. My mom was a banker for 30 years. My oldest sister is a banker. When I was a kid, I would like sit at the dinner table and listen to them talk about bank shit. And I was like, never in my life is that going to be me. It was so boring. And then I fell into it. I got offered a job when I was serving a bank manager, and she offered me a job. Wow. And so I took it because it was better than serving at that time. And I was 18 and thought, oh, big girl job. Like I was proud of myself. I got it without my mom and whatever. And then I just fell into the hole and I never came out.
Oh my God, we have very similar stories.
Because your family was oil and gas, right?
Well, yes, but the thing is, I went into business and my background's actually in marketing. I fell hard into finance for over a decade.
So funny.
And then I woke up one day, I was like, the fuck am I doing? Yeah. I have a marketing background and I'm not even using it.
Totally.
So, yeah.
And for me, I had gone to university. I went to U of A for a year and I wasn't doing anything. It was just like general studies sort of thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Felt like I was wasting money. I was away from my family. I was just unhappy. So I dropped out and then just started serving to take a year off and figure out what I wanted to do. Fell into banking. Was really good at it. And when you're kind of getting all this praise, you feel really good. I was young and just sort of kept advancing, and I just got stuck. But when I look back, and even at the moment, I knew like I was just good at customer service. I just liked helping people. I'm just a people person. You know, I felt like I could do this in anything. You know, it doesn't need to be banking. And yeah, finance, like nothing about it gave me any sort of passionate, you know, I just wasn't for me. It
wasn't fulfilling.
No, but at the same time, I was like, shit, like, okay, well, I don't like what I'm doing, but what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah.
Jane, what's 10 times 10?
Math it's not my strong suit. I can say that. So I just got stuck and I got to a point where I didn't know what to do. I knew I was unhappy, but what do you do about it, right? It's hard to take that leap of faith when you're jumping into the unknown. Like, you're just going to quit a job to go do nothing.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
you can't do that. But one thing I always knew was that I wanted to be a mother. My whole life I knew that. And it took quite the journey and the twisted turns to get to now where I'm very, very happy and have a beautiful family. But once I had kids, and it was sort of interesting, I basically read one book that really opened my eyes and made me kind of OCD about my kids' sleep. And even after my first kid, I still had that. I really enjoyed like just being very methodical and making sure she was sleeping really well and whatnot. And I started helping my friends with their kids. I did one of those birth and babies classes and ended up helping all of those moms get their kids sleeping. And I was like, that was really fun. I liked that. But at that point, I still didn't even know sleep consulting was a thing. Yeah. But I knew we knew we wanted another kid. So, the free money from the government, you're going to go back to work. So I went back to the bank and just thought to myself every day, I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, what am I going to do? I need to figure it out. Like, this maternity leave, I need to figure something out. And then, like, who knows, the universe sending me a sign, or however you want to see it, a Facebook ad is what turned me to sleep consulting.
Yeah. And was it a Facebook ad for sleep consulting?
It was a Facebook ad for a certification to get. And it was like, earn money from home, that sort of thing. And it wasn't like clickbait. It wasn't like, okay, this is it. I just saw the ad, kept scrolling. Like, it was literally a flash. And then it came back to me in a month or two. And I was like, then the pandemic hit. So I started doing the certification actually at the end of March. And then started taking clients at the end of June. And since then, like, it hasn't even been a year. Since then, I'm on 58 clients now.
Wow, good for you.
Which is quite a few, I think, like in that short
congratulations.
amount of time. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, it was kind of a weird way to come about it. But all I knew, it's funny because it feels like I just wasted so many years. But at the same time, I know I helped a lot of people doing what I did before, too. As a personal banker, it was still...
Yeah.
I also think that was your journey. I mean, if it was like, boom, you're going to be a sleep consultant or whatever it is that we're going to do, I just feel like it doesn't make us who we are today or who we're about to become later in the future.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and it's not like this never would have happened had I not become a mother.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like that passion I would never have found it. Nor, I can't imagine being a sleep consultant or hiring a sleep consultant that wasn't a mom. That would be weird.
I'd be like, what do
you don't know anything.
100%.
But I love hearing these stories because that's exactly why we're sitting here. Like, because we're moms and because of the pandemic. And we had a guest last week who started her new company when the pandemic started. So, you know, as shitty as it is, because it is shitty, there's a lot of things that came out of it.
Good things.
I think, so many people say that like 2020 was the worst year, but honestly for me, it was the year that I feel like I found myself and really, for the first time, like took a chance on myself.
Yeah.
So it was a good year for me.
Yeah, I feel the same, but I don't say it a lot because I feel guilty. Is that wrong?
No.
But I feel guilty.
Shout it from the rooftop, girl.
You know, everyone that has come to sit here with us, and even including ourselves, yes, there's parts of 2020 that is shitty, but a lot of people saw a lot, like, positive things that's come out of their life, whether it was starting a new venture or just learning something about themselves or learning something about their kids or stopping time. Like, for me, it was... I think with 2020, it's made me a little bit softer, like on an emotional side that I've locked up for a long time. And I'm just like, God, Harleen, get yourself together. Because I'm always like so emotional these days because time literally went really fast. Like, my son just finished telling me what he wants to do right after high school. I was like, you're just in grade 10. You have we have 2 more years. And then he just kind of tells me like, you know, I think I'm going to head here and there. And I was like, I'm literally going to be an empty nester. Like, I'm too young to be an empty nester. Stop it.
It's going to be so crazy.
But yeah, there's just so much positive that's come through COVID with the negatives with it too.
I think so much of it, you say like the people that have come here and sat in this chair, so probably what sets them apart from those people who are struggling with 2020 is just their mindset. You know, it's all about how you react to what's been thrown at you.
Right.
Yeah.
And whether you choose to spiral or whether you choose to conquer it is all in your power.
Yeah.
Or it can be in your power if you choose to take it.
Right. And it was a year full of self-discovery. So,
Totally.
you know, whether or not the good or the bad happen, it's like it's awakening something inside you that's telling you, okay, now's the time. You got to step back and look at your life, right? And that's how I felt. That's how my partner felt. We almost broke up during the pandemic. And, you know, we always have these conversations when you fight really bad and you think you're going to break up. But this time was like, I thought it was serious. But it was just really forcing us to face our problems head on because now we are in such close quarters. We need to figure our shit out. So,
Totally.
yeah, it brought out a lot.
Yeah.
You're right, though. Time really did slow down because all of a sudden you're locked in at home with the people you're supposed to love the most.
Yeah. And also I feel like the people that are just always continuously talking about how shitty it was or, you know, it is, and we joke, but I think those are the people that have been complacent and they just don't want any change. Like, so that's probably why it's shitty for them right now.
Yeah.
So, you're a sleep coach, sleep consultant. Tell us more about your sleep coach program and what parents can expect working with you.
Yeah. So the majority of the people that come to me are looking to do like a full sleep training with their child, right? So what I do is basically I'll chat with you first, do a quick like 15-minute free phone consultation just to find out what's happening with your child and in your life, why why is it happening, how old are they, just to see if I can help, and then sort of also their level of commitment and expectations of me. So that's really just so we can get a feel for each other, just to make sure we're comfortable opening up. It's a lot of trust involved, similar to banking, where if people had to trust me with their money, it's almost even harder for them to trust me with their child, right? And it's not, they're the ones that really have to do it. So I have to trust them too, because I'm giving them my advice. But if they don't follow it, then they're not going to get the results. And then in the end, they're probably going to blame me, right? So the level of commitment comes from both sides. And it is a big decision to make for most parents. And it's kind of a debatable one too. Some people don't believe in sleep training. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the misconception of what it really means.
Yeah.
I saw a meme about it. Some mom came on the thing, and it was funny because I knew you were coming onto the show, and this girl's like, "Stop fucking telling everybody fucking sleep training, blah, 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 blah." And I was just, and to be honest with you, I had no concept of any of that when Jaden was young. Like everything that I'm learning now, I'm just like, like life would have been easier if I had known these things.
And that was only 15 years ago.
That was only 15 years ago.
So
like like 15 years is not a long time. Like how have we evolved and we didn't know shit like that?
It's so true. Like I've never even asked my parents, but I don't remember them ever talking or thinking about sleep training.
No. And actually, in your bio, you said that. So your beautiful daughters, Charlie and Georgia.
Yeah.
So which one of them was premature?
Georgia.
Okay. So my daughter Ava was also a month premature, and she was also borderline colicky, and I was also losing my shit over sleep, and I had never heard of sleep training. And no, I never have. So
and Ava's only 4.
Ava's only 4.
Yeah. Okay.
So I went to a mom and tot show at the BMO Center, and there was a seminar about it. So I sat in, and I was like, "What? This exists?"
Yeah.
And then I was like, "That sounds kind of harsh." She was talking about the different methods, cried out, whatever. And I was like, "That sounds really harsh," and I felt really bad. But then I started reading on it and researching and the pros and cons, and I did it, and I 100% got my life back. I'm not saying it's going to happen for everybody, but I'm just saying for me, I got my life back because I was able, it was really hard for me. And she was a happy surprise as well.
Yeah.
And so when I had that time for myself to kind of just slow everything down and just, you know, be comfortable with her sleep. And then I got to do me. I got me time back.
Totally.
My life changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why that consultation is so important to me. Like some parents don't want to talk to me on the phone first, but I really always urge them to, because some people don't understand the level of commitment, or I just want them to really know what it really means, what it's actually going to look like. Yeah. Because exactly. It's not necessarily a small decision to make, but it helps when you're informed and educated on it. Yeah. So once, if they decide, and honestly, sometimes we'll end that call and I'll send them an email after, and then I won't hear from them for a few weeks and I don't want to hear from them until they're ready, you know, and that's why I do that call, because if you just jump right in and you're not emotionally, it's mostly emotional, honestly. If you're not emotionally prepared, it's not going to be a fun experience. And it's a hard thing to do to begin with, but usually it's only 3 to 5 hard nights, and then it gets so much easier, and then you're right, you get your life back. So often it just takes a few really hard nights, sleepless nights, for parents to be like, okay, I'm ready now, right? And then once they reach, only they can decide that they're ready, and once they are, that's when they'll come back. And then my process is to get them to fill out like a pretty extensive questionnaire, so that I have a really good, like, in-depth insight into what's happening with their kids' daily schedule and everything that they're doing and the habits they formed, so that I can create like a custom sleep plan that suits the kids' behaviors, their personality, as well as the parents' behaviors and personality, to make sure they're going to be comfortable and confident executing whatever approach I'm suggesting based on the scenario. And then with the full plan, I would support them for 3 full weeks. Every day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. They text me as often as they need.
That's amazing. You're customizing it for the family. It's not like, here's my program, here's step 1, step 2. So I really like that. Do you have one for adults? Because I feel like I need someone to like
when Har was telling me one time that she couldn't sleep, I was like, maybe you can ask Jane to help you. Does she do night visits? But for real,
listen, all I need, Jane, is someone to like
rock me
and like stroke my hair. That's it.
Well, Jane is like a foot taller than you, so I could totally see it.
I could just curl you up. I think it would work out.
And she's strong, girl.
I'd be like, Jane, I need to go to sleep. I need to get to bed at 9. Can you be here at 8:50?
She's gonna be there with a bottle of wine, just shove it in your mouth.
Yeah, that's right. Bottle of the house wine.
Yeah. But so do you make house calls? Because when I was sitting in on that seminar, they were saying, for an extra charge, you can get the sleep coach to actually be there overnight with your baby. Right. And I was like writing this all down, and I was telling Mark how much everything was. I was ready to do it. I was like, I'm going to do it. And then I don't know what happened. I was just one day was like, I'm just going to try it first. I'm going to try sleep training. And if it doesn't work, I'm calling, because I was desperate.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So obviously I started the business during COVID. So I've been to one person's house, and it was actually the only teenager I've ever worked with. And he was just the type of person, like, he'd been on school through Zoom for so long, and his mom just really felt like they needed me physically there to have the conversation, to really be able to connect with him. And she was right about that. But yeah, no, I haven't. It kills me, because obviously I would love to go and meet the babies, but with COVID and stuff, it's just not really an option right now.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully eventually I can open that up. But I have looked at other people, sleep consultants, not necessarily in Calgary, but elsewhere, just in my market research, and seen people that do have those packages where it's overnight, and they're like $1,200.
Yeah, I know.
For one night.
I know.
And like, shit, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, that's where you make bank.
Lucrative.
First of all, okay, no knocking on sleep consultants, because I think sleep is super important. $1,200.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna coddle you. I'm gonna do whatever you want for $1,200.
I was ready. I was ready to pay that, because that's how desperate I was.
Pay me, and I'll put Ava to bed.
I'm good.
Don't
I'm good.
worry.
I've seen you put Ava to bed before. So.
She doesn't get to bed when. That's a thing. I always just get her super excited. I'm like, bye, Jizzy. I'm going home, and it's like, I'm trying to put her to bed. Stop playing with her.
That's what aunties are for, though, right?
Yeah, it's true. She loses her shit when she sees her.
I love the greetings. It's like
So fun.
it's like she yells and
She's not even as happy to see me,
Jesse's
but when she
like-
sees her, she's like,
yeah, she's like, I really wish she would greet me that way. But I also equally greet her that way. I was like,
we just gas each other up.
Mutual relationship.
Yeah. Anyways, so do parents get to follow up with you then once their babies reach their sleep regressions? Or is that included in your package?
So I have a top-up package for my previous clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone who has purchased a sleep plan from me, within 6 months, if their child regresses, then I'll support them for 1 week. I'll create a new plan based on, so I'll get them to fill out that form again because obviously so much has changed. I'll create a new top-up plan based on the current scenarios and support them for 1 week, and that's $100 instead of the original one is $325. Which, talking about $1,200, I'm like, oh, I mean,
Actually,
maybe I should
yeah.
up
Like
my price.
when
No,
when I went to that seminar, it seemed like it was way more because I think that's why I didn't pull the trigger because I was like, that's a lot of fucking money. It was most of my EI.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm newer. Like I'm starting this business. It's still pretty fresh. You know, I'm just coming up on a year. So I'm looking for experience and to help people right now.
Yeah.
I'm not looking, obviously I hope that this will be my full-time gig. This is my goal, is to have this. I love what I'm doing and I want it to be able to support my family with it. But I'm also the cheapest in the province.
Nice.
Because for that reason, right?
There you go, guys. You're looking for a sleep
Yeah, I just
consultant.
throw that out there.
well,
Here's
I
your
know
girl.
that I don't have any babies, but
Yeah.
maybe you'll be my sleep consultant. I'll be like, I got no babies. I just need you to like hold me, rock me,
You
just
can-
put me to sleep.
You can tell people that your oldest client is 38.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and
Thanks.
I've really thought about doing adult sleep too, and I think it's like maybe like a 3 to 5 year plan goal because I just feel like I need to really narrow in and become an expert in this. But I also don't want to limit myself. But
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's like there's nothing better than helping a new mom or like you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like nobody in the world deserves it more than new parents.
For
They
sure.
need the
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I think about like helping Joe Schmo off the street, like it doesn't bring me as much joy
Yeah.
as it does to know that I'm helping a mom that desperately needs help.
Because
you
you've
know?
been there.
Because I've fucking been there and
Yeah.
it's hard work.
Yeah.
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 So I don't know. We'll see.
So, what advice do you have for couples who one wants to sleep train, but the other one doesn't want to because they're like, why? It's expensive. It's this, whatever their objection is. Like, how does the one parent, I don't want to just say mom or dad, it could be either one.
Either or.
what
advice would you give them and just telling them how important it is?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's so hard to answer because I've faced so many of those scenarios. And it's true that there are different types of objections. Sometimes the one I see a lot, which kind of breaks my heart, and maybe it's because I'm a mom, but is that the father, the husband, is the one working. The mom's on maternity leave, and obviously it is a big price tag.
Yeah.
But she's also the one that's up all night, and the dad has to work, so he sleeps. But he also is the one who ends up having to pay for it, and he doesn't see the value.
Yeah.
That's the one I struggle a lot with that one because that's a marital issue in my opinion. A little
That's a
bit,
their problem.
It is
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's hard for me to be the mediator in that, but I often end up being the mediator in my consultation calls with the two of them on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens a lot is I will kind of explain why the approach that they're doing isn't working. Let's put it that way. And the dad will be like, I fucking told you. Like, I told you shouldn't be doing that. And so then I'm like, God, I'm like causing these fights now. So it is sometimes a difficult situation to be in. But when it comes to sleep training, like the best advice I can give you is to just try to talk it out, to explain to each other why it's important to you if you're the one that wants to do it. And in the end, like, you really got to try and get on the same page. Because I always recommend that both parents partake because there's nothing worse, especially than having your baby only go down for you. You know,
Yeah.
and right now, I mean, my baby was born, my youngest, she just turned 15 months. So she was born in late October. So she's not technically a COVID baby, but man, she acts like one. and she won't go to anybody but me, you know, and just so attached, separation anxiety and whatnot. She'll go down for Matt, thankfully, but if I were to send her to the grandparents right now, I don't know if she would go to sleep for them. You know, because she hasn't had the opportunity. No one else has been able to put her down, right?
Yeah.
So at the very least right now in our current climate, mom and dad should be involved together as best as possible.
Yeah.
For that reason. Like, sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish.
I was just going to say, when I first started this whole thing, like my favorite, and just being a mother before COVID and before this business even, my favorite quote was, "It takes a village." And that's because I know I've got a lot of great strengths that I can pass on to my children, but I am not great at everything. I cannot bake a batch of cookies, for example, but my mom can't, you know, like that's why every single person in your life, the top 5 people you spend your time with, like they create who you are. And my children need more than just me and my spouse to help them become whole people, you know, like they need more than that. So we'll see.
Actually like that.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. I didn't really think about it. Like, I didn't think about it that way.
Well, I relate it to sleep training quite a bit in my own mind anyways, just because of that thought of being able to send them elsewhere, have the neighbor put them down for a nap or the babysitter or something, you know. I mean, you want your baby to be accepting of other people as best you can be. But I also recognize, and I'm in that position right now where it's very difficult right now with COVID. So
Yeah, it is. It
hopefully they get their social skills
somehow.
eventually.
Well, I mean, we've met you, so don't worry, they'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
So obviously, when you have done sleep training with your child and they become toddlers, and sometimes for your own selfish reason, and I've done this.
There we go.
Is that say like it becomes a weekend and they have a routine, but you're like out and about and you're like, it's fine, they could stay up. Like, does that ruin it for them? Or like, do you have to stay consistent in like what you've been training for?
No, that's a great question. And I'm glad you asked that actually. So it depends on where you're at in your sleep training journey, I would say. For me right now, my kids are sleep trained, for example. I kind of like to live my entire life by the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time I am on par. I'm consistent with my routine. I eat healthy. I work out. I do what I need to do. 20% of the time I'm going to eat that ice cream. I'm going to live my life and drink my wine. Same goes with them, right? I mean, kids of all ages strive with consistency, and you'll probably hear me say that several more times throughout this conversation, because it's super important when it comes to sleep training in particular. But if we just start working together, and actually this happened with a current client, she was on day 3 of sleep training, and he was how old is he? 5 months. 4 months, sorry. Taking to sleep training so well. She was like, this is amazing. I'm sleeping again. It's only night 3. And then she went, so she lives in BC. She went to Vancouver for the weekend. Everything shit hit the fan, and then it took us a week and a half to get him back on track.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't apologize. Like, you have to still live your life. It's just the timing of it, of course, was difficult, because when you change everything, like, that's why I never send the sleep plans too early, because people will be like, oh, I'll just start doing this here, and then I'll do that one there, and I'll just start implementing them slowly. Like, you want to do it all in one go, and then maintain consistency until they've got it, right? And then once you've gotten rid of those bad habits and instilled the ones that you want, the better habits, then once they really get it, then you can start to be more flexible. But your point of on the weekend, say you go to grandma's house and you don't want to leave at 7, you want to stay till 8. If they're good sleepers, typically you'd probably see 1 to 2 days of regression with their sleep. But then just jump back on the plan, go right back to bedtime routine, and the next night you're putting them down at the same time, and they're creatures of habit, right? They'll go back, but you will see a little bit of regression.
Yeah. So I know, because the reason why it took me so long to pull the trigger on sleep training, because I had never heard of it before I had a baby, was because when I was reading about it, I was reading everywhere that like the people who are against sleep training, because I had to weigh out the pros and cons. The people who are against it are saying like they're babies, it's in their nature to want to be held and to want to be with their parents and to need their mother's touch. So I was just like, well, fuck, like I felt so guilty then, like leaving my baby there to put herself to sleep when I should be doing that, right? And so I think I waited. It said you can, when I was reading it, said you can start at like 4 or 5 months, but I waited until after we went on our first vacation because I knew she was gonna go back.
Yeah.
But I waited till about 7 or 8 months. But what is the appropriate age to start sleep training? Because I had one girlfriend who said, "Oh, I started when I took her home. The day I took her home." I was like, "What?
How is that even possible?
Yeah, I don't get it."
So, no, it's a good question. 3 to 4 months is typically when I recommend starting. The 4 months regression, you may have heard of it. It's a real thing.
It is, yeah.
And there's a reason for it. So the reason you don't want to start before then is, have you ever heard of the term the fourth trimester?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a whole book called The Fourth Trimester. Yep. Basically, the idea of it is that human babies are born, we're one of the only mammals that are born 3 months too early. Reason being, if that baby got any bigger in you, it would not be coming out.
Yeah.
Right? You would die. Nobody wants to even imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So most mammals, horses, whatever, they're born and they can walk and run right away for survival, right? Otherwise they'd get eaten. Humans, obviously not. So they come out and they are not ready to be out in the world. So it takes them 3 months to really adjust and adapt to being out of the womb. So they come out, they're nocturnal. They're used to, when you walk, you were up during the day, your motion put them to sleep. And then when you would lay down to go to bed, that's when they would wake up because you were still and they're like, what's going on, right? So they come out, they're nocturnal, and hormones play a big part of it. So there's a lot of science involved, but melatonin is the sleep hormone that our bodies naturally produce when nighttime comes. Well, babies don't start producing melatonin until 3 months after that fourth trimester.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so around 3 months, right? So that's when they actually you can start to create a circadian rhythm, right? The internal body clock. Which is your body produces melatonin, you go to sleep, and then when you wake up, right? So that's why I usually recommend 3 months at the earliest, because before that, you're completely right. They need your touch. They're probably going to sleep in your arms. They're going to sleep in a rocker. People might co-sleep, whatever that looks like for you. That's what that's going to look like, right? So that's all good. But after that, that's when you can start instilling those other habits of independent sleep. We'll leave it at that.
So you had mentioned humans produce melatonin.
Yes.
I probably don't have any of that in my body, but what is the biggest reason why that doesn't get produced in adults or like in people? Like, or is there lack of? Why?
Well, if you take melatonin supplements, then your body can stop producing it.
Yeah.
So that would be a reason. I know we were chatting offline about your son struggling to fall asleep. With teenagers, melatonin doesn't start being produced until much later in the evening. For whatever reason, it's like 11 p.m. That's when they're so much that's why they struggle to fall asleep. And it's all teens, right? And it's because of that.
Is it okay to give him those pills? Because I know he's asked for them, because I feel like he's done a lot of research. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to just give you random stuff or just tried XYZ. And he's just like, I'm trying. And sometimes I'm just like, you know what, whatever. Like, with the times that's happening right now, I just let him be.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not at the end of the world, but you just want to be cognizant of the fact that it's still, supplements.
Yeah.
You just don't want to overdo it. And then at his age, it's much less of a concern. I do urge parents with kids like under 10 to really just work on helping their bodies produce it at the proper time, as opposed to supplementing and then having their body think they don't need to create it on their own because you're being given it.
So how do you actually produce that without the supplements? Like, what are things that
This is where things like a really solid bedtime routine come in. If you've got a really consistent bedtime routine, and I recommend it literally from the day you're born, you can start doing a bedtime routine with your baby. Obviously, when they're under 3 months old, that bedtime routine will be like 10 minutes. It's not going to be anything crazy. But if you do the same actions and something that, pardon me, can be replicated anywhere by anyone. So they go to grandma's house, she can easily do the bedtime routine. It's not like very specific toys or whatever. Those actions and that routine is going to signal to their body that sleep is coming, and their body will start to produce melatonin just from that. And then the other thing, bright, so light and darkness, right? Pitch black room, that will produce melatonin. Temperature, being like the warm temperature, that helps produce melatonin. There's all these little sort of things. So always, everybody should have blackout blinds. Everybody should have blue light glasses if you're on your phone in your bed or watching TV. Those sort of things because blue light from your screens or just even vitamin C, like the sun, those will, any light coming into your room will suppress your melatonin production.
You know what's funny is because Hara's always telling me she has trouble sleeping. So I was like, I'm going to bring you some melatonin. And it's funny because I kept forgetting. Remember? Every week I forget. And then the day that we have the sleep consultant here, I actually brought you some today.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just feel bad. You're just always so tired.
I have a problem with getting to bed. It's not that like I do all the routines. I will wind down. I'll be off my phone. I'll lay there. Probably doesn't help that like there's light. But the thing is, I don't mind if there's light. It'll still make me fall asleep if I'm tired. Like I'm just a big pussy. Like I can't, like sometimes I need to sleep with the light on because I'm like scared about something.
So if you're going to have a nightlight for any age, no judgment. I was
judge away.
If you need a nightlight, or your child needs a nightlight, have it be red.
Oh, okay.
Because it's blue light. That's
oh my
God.
God.
That's right. The red room.
Yeah. I'm like, can you buy me
like,
a red light?
Well, I was just going to say, because my daughter, she's like me. She likes to watch scary things and scare herself shitless to the point where she doesn't.
What is up with that?
Yeah. And I'm just like, wow, you're totally like me. But then you guys are going to judge me. She has 6 nightlights.
6? I don't think my daughter even has 6 outlets in her room.
So she has this bunny that changes colors, and it does stay red if you put it at red, but it also changes colors. And then she has that nightlight BJ gave her. She has another cloud nightlight. She's just so scared, and if she doesn't have those nightlights on, all 6, then we have to leave the hall light on. And it's like, nah, girl, you're not paying fucking electricity around here. I'm not leaving the hall light on. So I let her. And actually I was gonna ask you tonight. I was like, sometimes it takes her a really long time to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because we'll put her down at like 7:38, and sometimes she won't even go to sleep till like 9:30.
Wow.
Which I'm just like, I don't know what she's
chill in her room the whole time? Okay.
Or she like whispers to herself, or she like, I watch her in the camera, she's like taking her stuffed toys and like making them fly and shit. But like now I'm like, okay, it's the fucking 6 nightlights.
Well, that could definitely. So if you have the ability to make them red, start there.
Okay.
Another, and this will probably be helpful to a few people. I do a craft day. Get like a spray bottle and have her decorate it with you, and it can be like a monster spray. And then before night, you'll go around and you'll spray the room, and you'll clear the room of all the monsters, and it's going to protect her, and she'll help create it, so it'll be fun. That's a good one for kids who have like a fear.
Okay.
Can you come to my house and spray the room? And then give me some red.
And I'd recommend putting like lavender or something in it too. Would be good.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. I'm learning so much. I can't wait to put her to sleep.
Yeah, right.
I feel like that might be for adults as well. But I feel like as adults too, you just always, there's just so many things that it's like, I need to get this done. It's like your brain just doesn't shut down.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's happened. Actually, I started, if I'm really tired and restless, I will listen to classical music, put my earphones on, and I'll eventually go to bed. Like, I don't know what it is. It helps me.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I started listening to binaural beats.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
It's supposed to help you with like a deep sleep trance. It's when you go into the spas and you hear that tranquil music. So it's something like that. And it's funny because I've been doing it for the last couple of weeks, but I'm actually not sure if anybody out there has experienced this while listening and trying to fall asleep. I don't know if I'm actually asleep, but my body's tired, but my mind is awake and I feel like it's awake until I actually wake up. Like it's so weird. I don't know if it's the music or if I should stop listening to it, but I feel like subconsciously I'm awake, but my body's just like dead still.
I've
Like
totally done that.
I'm not sure if I'm sleeping.
You look at the clock and you're like, how did an hour just go by?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure if I'm sleeping.
So you're not getting into a deep sleep, but you've entered like the first or second cycle of sleep because there's 5.
What?
Yeah.
What are the 5?
Oh gosh. So I mean, it's like very light. It just goes
Until you're in REM.
Then yeah, exactly. REM
Okay.
is the last one. Yeah, and that's where the rapid eye movement REM, and that's where you have your dreams. And it's not like you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people will go 2, 3, 4, 2. You know, like you can jump around.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So adult sleep cycles are about 90 minutes. Kids are 30 to 45. Babies, kids, yeah. So a lot of people struggle with having like a 30-minute nap. Kids, their babies will only nap for 30 minutes. Very normal. They just wake up after one sleep cycle. For you, have you ever tried white noise? White noise. Sorry.
No, what is that?
When, not anymore, but when like back in the day when we had televisions that would like shh, poltergeist style, that sound is white noise.
Oh, hold on. No, because there's some. Okay, hold on.
Are you afraid of that noise? So many people are afraid of that noise.
The poltergeist?
Yeah, I guess that's why, maybe.
So even with the binaural beats, I've been like, okay, so it's just so weird. When I am asphyxiated with something, that's all that consumes of me. If I watch like murder mystery, it's like murder mystery all the time. So now, like when I hear those things on my binaural beats, I shut it right away. You know, like she likes to get scared, but the minute that I see a commercial that's scary, I'm like getting my remote going, oh my God. I don't know what it is, but it scares the shit out of me.
So
and
that sound does?
The sound does. And I don't know what it does. It just tenses me up.
I think maybe it's from that movie or something. I don't know. But
Something
you're not the
in your
first person that said that to me. But just for our listeners' sake, I'll tell you why white noise is really good and better than, what did you call it? Beats?
Binaural beats.
Binaural beats. Or the tranquil rainforest or the sound of waves or whatever it is that everybody, I think a lot of people do that, right? It's when you do the rainforest and all those, the change in frequency can actually hinder your sleep.
Interesting.
I know. And there's so many products out there that, like, I know you can buy sleep masks that have music built in and whatever, but they don't have white noise. It's rainforest sounds or whatever, right? So I'm sure that it does. I'm sure that there's some science behind it, but from what I was taught, anything that has frequency change isn't really the best. The reason that white noise is so helpful for sleep is it goes way back to when you were in the womb, and because honestly, that's what babies hear when they're inside your belly. They hear the blood going through your body, and that's what it sounds like to them is white noise.
Yeah, Ava had a sleep sheep.
Can I borrow it?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, you want it? I used to take that shit everywhere, and it's funny because I used to make fun of my friend who she was the first one to have a baby out of all of us, and sometimes she'd leave early. She's like, no, it's my daughter's bedtime, and I was like, it's only 6 o'clock. I'm sure it's fine. And she's like, no, I gotta get her to bed. And in my head, I was like, man, you're really anal.
Yeah.
And then I became a mom. And I was like, I get it. And I was so anal.
Yeah.
I had the sleep sheep. I had to everything had to be perfect because I'm like, I'm not messing up her fucking routine.
Totally.
But we want to get to audience questions because you saw that we put a poll up.
I did see.
And I know that there's a lot of, obviously we're a mothering podcast,
Yeah.
but we have had moms who had questions for us. So we want to get to those because we also have a fun game we want to play with you later. So, so the first question is, this actually came from my best friend who's pregnant. She said, what does life look like for parents who don't sleep train their babies? Because my parents sure didn't sleep train my siblings and I.
Yeah. I think it sort of depends on the habits that you instill right from the get-go. So it's not just because you don't necessarily sleep train by getting a sleep plan and saying we're starting this day and this is what it's going to look like. Like not everybody has to do that. Right. And I don't recommend that you do that. If you're happy with the way your family is sleeping, then there's no need to sleep train. It's only becomes a necessity if you decide it is one, if you're no longer happy and you can no longer go on living the way that you're living, basically, right? But in terms of like what it could look like, I'm sure most people have heard the term sleep prop or sleep association, and that is, I think, probably the first thing people think of is like a pacifier or a soother,
or like rocking them to sleep.
Exactly. Yeah. So it might be an item like a soother or a rocker or something, but I think most common one that I see is being rocked to sleep or nursed to sleep. And the implications of that really are go back to the sleep cycles. And what it does is it robs your child of the ability to transition from one sleep cycle to the next. So then when we talk about those short naps and they only nap for 30 minutes, it's because they're not able to put themselves back to sleep.
Because they wake up and they're like, where's the boob?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the way I like to describe it to clients is, imagine if it was you and you, I put you to sleep, Har, and
I rocked you with that bottle of wine.
We've already decided I'm big enough to hold you. So I rocked you to sleep with your bottle of white wine, and we were in your room and you were super comfortable. You fell asleep in my arms, and then I laid you down and I left, and you woke up. For you, it'd be 90 minutes later. You woke up. I was gone. You were naked on the front, and you were on the front lawn. All of a sudden, you're not in your room. You're on the front lawn. That's how it is. So you rock your baby to sleep on the couch in the living room, and then you go and you put them in the crib. They wake up. They're like, "Where the fuck is mom?
Yeah.
Where am I? And what's happening?" And then instead of like just calmly going back to sleep, like they would had they been in that same environment when they fell asleep on their own, they will cry and call for you to come back and do it again. And then you get in this vicious cycle of just nonstop going to help them go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But really, everybody wakes up many times during the night. Sometimes you remember, sometimes you don't, right? Babies are the same. Our goal is not to stop them from waking up. Our goal is just to remove you from the equation.
Yeah. So we have a question from a parent that says, do you think that if you are a parent that has bad sleeping habits, do you think your children will learn your bad sleeping habits?
No, I don't. The way I like to think of it is our kids only know what we teach them. So if you teach them your bad sleeping habits, then of course that's what they're going to learn is the norm, right? But it's up to you to decide what habits you instill in your child. And I think the reason so many people end up having to sleep train is because they don't realize that their actions are causing the habits that they don't want, right? It's just not a mindful decision. You're just floating through and who can blame them?
Right.
No one knows. You just go home from the hospital and do your best to keep that baby alive.
Yeah.
You know, like we're all in this. We're all just figuring it out.
Right. Trying to keep your shit together.
100%. So, but if you can be really mindful of the fact that every decision that you make, I like to think of it as like a vote as to this habit or that habit. Oops. So you're voting, whichever way you decide is the way that you. So if you decide that, okay, I can't get this baby to sleep, I'm just gonna give her the boob. Well, then you're voting to continue to give her the boob, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to say that that's the wrong decision, but you just you want to be conscious of it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. So I actually have a question because we had a guest last week who joined us from Australia. She was a traveler for a living.
Yeah, and she got stuck in Thailand.
Yeah, with her baby. Yeah. So we were talking to her because she had picked up and brought her baby on a plane at 5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was just like, that's crazy because and her baby can fall asleep anywhere. Because I see pictures like she's falling asleep.
Yeah.
They were in a helicopter the other day and she fell asleep. Yeah,
oh my
and
gosh.
just lying down on her dad's
cute.
arm, just hanging there. And I was like, I'm kind of jealous. And I'm jealous when people would post. Used to be jealous of people who post pictures of their babies falling asleep in like shopping carts and whatever. But because I sleep trained, Ava could only fall asleep where I put her or where she fell asleep, right? So when it came to travel, everything was revolved around her because it's like, is this hotel room going to fit the cot or whatever she's going to sleep in? Is there a room where she can be where it's dark so she everything? We have to bring her sleep sheep, and so it was really hard. So and she couldn't sleep on the go because she was so used to being in the crib, and it was her sleep schedule became so rigid that was kind of like our struggle when it came to being on the go. And so being out at night, I'm like, is it worth it? Like, do I really want to like struggle later? And I always had to make that decision. So like, what is your advice? Can you have it both ways? Can you sleep train and still have a baby who's easy to fall asleep anywhere?
It goes back to that 80-20 that I was talking about earlier, I think. And in the end, you're the only one that can decide if it's worth staying out late or whatever, right? Because there will be implications of it. That's just unfortunately the reality of being a parent. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. But with that being said, I do think that you can sleep train. And when you're sleep training, I recommend that you do try and have them nap in the crib as best you can, just so that they associate that place with sleep and whatnot. But no, I don't think that having them nap in the car while you're driving around is a bad thing. I don't think napping in the stroller is a bad thing if you want to go for a walk and have that be the nap. Like, you want them to be flexible, just like you want grandma to be able to put them to bed and whatnot, right? So I think it's really hard with COVID right now approaching that topic, because it's also not really even possible, you know?
Your baby's going to sleep at home no matter what, because you're home.
Because you're home, And so I do think that it's a good point, because I think there will be some implications of it that are out of our control, and that might be a thing in a few years that I'll have to deal with clients. My COVID baby won't sleep anywhere but home, and it might be a thing, you know?
Yeah.
But they only know what we teach them. So if you want a baby that's flexible, then I would try to approach it that way, you know, and just give them more exposure to other environments and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like the blackout and all those things. I always just say most hotel rooms have a bathroom that's big enough. I have told parents to put their baby in a walk-in closet. There's nothing wrong with those things.
No, it's a safe environment.
Totally. Yeah.
So what happens when you're sleep training and your baby just keeps crying and crying and crying for hours on end?
Yeah.
What do you do then?
So I arm parents with comforting techniques that they may not have thought of. Obviously, there's like less than 10 sleep training approaches. It's not like I'm rewriting the Bible here, you know. I mean, there's only so much so much advice you can give. What it comes to is customizing it to meet the family's needs. But I would say, sorry, what was your question again? I lost my train of thought.
If your baby cries on hours on end.
Yeah, so I always urge parents to, and it really depends on what their comfort level is in terms of crying. Some parents can't endure it. And if they can't, then I won't tell you to, you know, like you can only do what you're comfortable with. Yeah. And some parents are like, oh, last night is hard. They cried for 2 hours. And I'm like, you let them cry for 2 hours, you know? So you want to find that happy balance. But in the end, what I say is if, let's say, nursing is their crutch, and that's the one thing they always nurse them to sleep, then I would just say do everything you can before you nurse. And if you just are stuck and you can't do it, then at least you made them work for it, you know? And then next time they'll be less likely to put in all that effort to get that result, because they know it's like, oh, that was a lot of work just to get that boob. I don't want to do that again, you know? And if you do that for a few nights, and maybe all you can take is 5 minutes, maybe all you can take is 20 minutes, you know? Either way, you are working towards that.
Sorry, you've made a comment, and this is a heart problem. When someone says something, I just start laughing because I'm having a conversation in my mind with myself, because you're like,
yeah, that's a hard thing.
Because you're like, make them work for the boob because it's a lot more harder. And then I thought
her mind went somewhere else, which is totally hard in hard fashion.
So I thought about, that should be like a dating thing too. Make them work harder for the boob.
There you go.
Okay, but actually, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I'd be like, I learned that from Jane Anderson.
Yeah, so thank you, Jane.
Yeah, I talk really fast, and sometimes I don't process before it comes out. So
no, that's a hard problem. She does that all the time.
It's totally a hard problem because it just came out. Like, that's how it is.
So
like, I don't
funny,
think I just started laughing, and I was thinking that could be like a dating thing too. It's like, make them work for the boob. That's gonna be point. I'm sorry, but that's gonna be my thing now. I'll be like, you gotta work for the boobs. Sorry.
I like it.
So Jane, we are coming to the end, but we really wanted to play this game with you because we want to do something fun with all of our guests, but we didn't tell you what it was.
No, I know. Yeah. I'm nervous but excited.
So, well, you probably have seen Ellen play 5 Second Rule.
Oh, God.
Yeah. don't have COVID.
Okay, I really need to try to keep my mind out of the gutter.
All right.
here.
No.
We want your honest,
I want
honest
that.
answer.
Okay.
You
All
only
right,
have 5
ready?
seconds.
Tahara's going to be my
God.
timer.
Okay.
And here we go. Name 3 things you indulge in after the kids go to bed.
Ice cream, television, and
Hurry.
marijuana.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
me
Here we
too.
go.
Sorry, in-laws.
Don't let them watch.
Okay, 3 of your favorite snacks you don't share with the kids.
Ice cream, chips, chocolate.
Smells that make you gag.
Vomit, tequila, and Jack Daniels.
Oh, me too, girl. Gross.
Yeah, can't do it.
Things you always say that you don't want your toddler to pick up.
Fuck. Like words?
Yeah.
Yeah, just all the swears. I mean,
Fuck
but
shit.
she does it anyways. Every now and then, I'm like, ooh.
Oh, me too. Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Whoops.
Name 3 things you find in your nightstand drawer.
Vibrator, books, and laptop charger.
Nice.
That's amazing. Charge everything, vibrate,
Yeah.
and then just fucking go to bed.
Exactly.
Oh
So I
man.
gotta plug in the vibrator.
Shit.
Name 3 things that are a mood killer in the bedroom.
Oh, the dog, my kids, and just stuffed animals, like kid shit. That
all
does not
kid
belong
shit.
in my bedroom.
Okay, name 3 celebrities you would want to nanny your kids.
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know why Tori Spelling just came into my mind,
Probably because she has so many fucking kids.
but literally, like Angelina Jolie.
All the people, the Duggars.
Yeah, God.
Okay, 3 ways you unwind.
Reading, running, and TV.
3 places you hide from your family.
The bathroom. The bathroom.
Jade's house
We know where to find you in the bathroom.
Outside and out of the house.
and outside.
Yeah, my minivan sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And lastly, name 3 things you no longer do since becoming a mom, but wish you could do more of.
Dance, party, dance and party. No, yeah.
Well,
Or just
Jane,
go out.
you're friends with us now, so
Yeah.
after COVID's over, I'm
After
sure
this is over, we go
we're
to
going
the
dancing and
bar.
partying, okay?
I'm into
And
it.
that's it for our questions. Thank you for playing.
That was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, you had mentioned that you had issues. Sleep is very personal for you because
Yeah.
you had issues with it as a child growing up.
For
and you
sure.
even developed insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to get out of it or train yourself? Like, what steps did you do? It's probably more so for adults like myself who suffer with those things.
Yeah. Honestly, my sleep, I never really slept from a very young age. I would just lay awake at night and just like stress or whatever, and I just couldn't sleep, and then I'd be tired all day. And yeah, I think probably from like age 17 till 21, 22, I was like full on nocturnal. And then I started working in like industry, restaurant industry and whatnot, and that didn't help, closing restaurants down and stuff. So honestly, what I think eventually got me back to sleeping properly was going on antidepressants, getting my hormones where they needed to be, because I really think so much of it was emotional and physical, like chemical, you know what I mean? So I really feel like many things in my life resolved themselves once I accepted that I needed assistance, you know? Yeah.
And most people wouldn't even get to that point.
I was diagnosed, or I won't say diagnosed, but I was like given prescriptions by my doctor so many times. And every time the relationship that I was in at the time, he didn't believe in them. And so it was this stigma in my mind that like I knew my ex-husband would not agree with me taking them. And so it was like, what am I going to like take it behind his back? No. Right. But so I didn't take them until the day I left him. And then I started taking antidepressants, and I've never been a happier person since. Like,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Jane, we could shoot the shit all night,
Yeah.
and we will like
Eventually.
offline.
Yeah.
Episode part 2.
Part 2, part
Yes.
3.
Yeah, that's right.
Mom's Gone Wild. So we're obviously out of time. So, but before we go, Jane, for all the moms that are struggling right now, or not even just moms, anyone who's parenting, struggling with putting their child to bed, what would you tell them?
I would say that you're not alone at all. Don't be afraid to ask for help in any scenario, whether it's sleep or any, just parenting in general. Ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. You don't need to be a superhero. None of us are. And then in terms of actual sleep advice, just be consistent as you can be. The way I like to think of it is babies, there's just these little things that rely on you and everybody else and have such little control over their life and their environment and the direction that their life is going. So any way that you can set them up to know what's going to happen next and to give them those expectations, they're going to be much happier, and they're going to fall in line with where you're going and just resist everything so much less. Mm-hmm. So if you can be consistent, they will know what's going to happen. And if you have an older child, toddler, whatnot, give them options. Do you want the pink pajamas or the purple pajamas? They just want to be involved. They want to feel like they have control over something. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I learned so much today. I'm sure you did too.
I did. Don't work for the boob. And that's the only thing that I took out of this episode was work for the boob.
Hey, I got you.
And also red light special.
Yeah, there you
TLC. Okay, thank you so much, Jane. Thank you, Har, for another great episode. So we want to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Big Picture Events. If anyone's looking to capture any special and magical moments in your family's life, check out Big Picture Events on Instagram at Big Picture Events Inc. or on their website, bigpictureeventrental.com. And we'll also link them as well.
Yeah, and don't forget, we have Buy Me a Coffee. We'll put it on the link somewhere here, somewhere there, wherever AJ is going to put them. But if you want to continue seeing some great content and supporting your girls, don't forget.
Buy us a coffee, guys. We thirsty. Thanks, guys. And remember, at the end of the day, wash your hands, wear your masks, and love yourself even on the hardest days.
Bye, guys.
Bye.